Okay, it's 1:30, and hello everyone. My name is Brad Neal, and I'm with the Insurance Institute of Canada. I'd like to welcome you all to our webinar, Taking the Plunge. Over the next 30 minutes, we're going to hear from some panelists about our fellow Chartered Insurance Professional, or FCIP, designation program. Two of our panelists are FCIP candidates. They will tell us what it's like to be in the program, and they'll also give us some examples of how the program has helped them develop both personally and professionally. The third is a senior P&C industry executive. He'll provide us some insight into how the FCIP can boost your P&C knowledge and your career. Now, before I introduce our panelists, I'd just like to find out a little bit more about who's attending today. We've got a poll question for you, and we're interested in your primary role in the P&C industry. Your options are going to be coming on the screen momentarily, and we'll leave the poll open for about 10 seconds to allow you an opportunity to respond. Okay, and it looks like most of our respondents today are in the broker agent and other. So I'm not sure what comprises other, but that would be interesting to know. So thanks everyone for attending again. And just before we get into our panel, I'd just like to give you a very brief overview of the FCIP program. You may already be familiar with the designation, but what it was designed for is to provide a top-notch business education tailored specifically to the P&C industry. The FCIP has long been the highest designation in the Canadian P&C industry, and it reflects changes in the industry and the business environment. And for that reason, we redesigned the FCIP in 2010. In the new program, which takes about 3.5 years to complete, we now have more than 100 graduates on the new track FCIP program. The program itself features 6 online courses led by expert facilitators. FCIP candidates learn key aspects of managing a P&C business, including strategy, leadership, finance, enterprise risk management, as well as some insights into emerging issues. At this point, I'd just like to take a quick moment to see where everybody is with their CIP. You're going to see a poll come up on the screen again, and I'll give you a few seconds to respond to that. Just wanted to know how long you've had your CIP. Okay. And this poll results is definitely geared more towards the experienced insurance professional. And that also is geared towards where we are with the FCIP, but any experience is great experience once you've got the CIP. So, you do of course need to be a CIP grad to enter the FCIP program. Now, let's just say you wish to take your FCIP, but it's going to be further down the road. You just wanted to find out some information today. Now, if you have a university degree, you can clearly get right into the FCIP. But we also have an option for those folks who do not have a university degree, but have 5 years experience in the insurance industry. That option is the Advanced CIP. This is a 4-course certificate program designed to enhance your core business skills and technical expertise. The program acts as a bridge between the CIP and the FCIP by developing your business and finance knowledge, your critical thinking, and your communication abilities. Now, let's hear more from the FCIP from our panelists. Okay, our first panelist is Bob Tisdale, who is the President and Chief Operating Officer at Pembridge Insurance. Bob, I was hoping you could give us an employer's perspective on what the FCIP can do to enhance your professional development.
Yeah, thanks, Brad. I'm happy to do that. You know, over the years, I've had an opportunity to obviously onboard a lot of staff. And one of the things I always look at on resumes is how dedicated they are to their career. So I know that if they've done a CIP, they're showing a lot of dedication, but I also know if they've done an FCIP that they're willing to go beyond the norms to help in their own personal development. And over the years, one of the things that I've gathered from FCIPs is they're certainly more knowledgeable about the business, they're very skilled, and they provide better quality of service to the company and to its stakeholders. one of the things that I think is really important for our industry is, over the years, we've really worked hard to become seen as greater in our professionalism. And I think one of the things in having an FCIP is it demonstrates professionalism, and it really increases the trust between the industry and the public. So those are some of the key things that we're looking for with the FCIP.
Wow, that's great. Okay, thank you very much for that insight. And you're talking at that level about how the professional development of the FCIPs contributes to a company's success, and I heard that loud and clear. But how does the FCIP contribute to a person's professional development?
Well, within our industry, a lot of what we do in various roles is technical in nature. So I think when you get into taking courses, particularly through the Insurance Institute and at the CIP level, you learn a lot of the technical basics of insurance, and I think that's absolutely critical. When a person moves on to the FCIP, they are usually starting to become more senior in the industry. And at that level, they need to have a broader perspective of the industry and how it works. And I think the FCIP really helps in that. It's a very comprehensive business education which focuses uniquely on our business, on the P&C industry, which makes it more valuable than a person just going out and taking more generic university courses. One of the critical elements of the CIP that's really essential for most businesses is that it really helps in the strategic thinking and decision making. There's a lot of things that go on in our business that require people to think beyond just the day-to-day operations. And I think that is something that the CIP or the FCIP really helps. But the other thing that's really interesting about the new program is it really helps candidates within the FCIP program to create a broad network of peers across the industry. And that really, really helps, because as you move along in your career, one of the things that you will come to really value is the people that you can reach out to, and having peers who have experienced the same thing as you have through the FCIP program, it really gives you an advantage over others who haven't done that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And when everything I seem to read in Thompson's and CIP News is about strategic thinking with artificial intelligence and big data, and as you say, the broad networks, everybody's talking about ecosystems, so it certainly lends itself to fitting into that as well. Now, before we start talking to our FCIP candidates, I'd just like to do one last poll here, and we're interested in knowing how many years of experience you've had in the P&C industry, and I'll give you a few seconds to answer that poll. Wow. Okay. Well, this webinar is clearly geared towards the right audience. That's fantastic to see the number with 11 or more years of experience. That's great. Now, our second panelist is Kelly O'Keefe, who is a section manager for accident benefits at Desjardins. Kelly is currently taking the Enterprise Risk Management course in the FCIP program. Now, Kelly, obviously you're already a leader within your organization when you started the FCIP, but I was wondering if you could tell us how the program has helped you enhance your leadership skills.
Oh, absolutely. I think I really do have a greater depth of knowledge of what it is I'm doing and how I fit into that wider picture. It's helped me to be a better leader when I'm talking to my team or working with other people or collaborating. It helps to give more context and depth, understanding of the industry and how you're involved in it. The FCIP helps you to interact with your employees, whether you're managing somebody who's struggling or just talking to your team in a regular meeting. Before the FCIP, I really found myself leading meetings by just asking about the nitty-gritty details of the things that we do every day. Since starting the program, I've changed my approach to include more context about how their contributions are affecting us as a whole and their involvement in the P&C industry. I think it helps with the engagement of my team. They're interested to know about these sorts of things, the industry, the company, our direction, and how they fit into that. Overall, I really do think the FCIP program has helped deepen my knowledge of the industry, and I'm able to pass that along to help create a more dynamic, engaged, and effective workforce.
Oh, Yeah, clearly, with that kind of context and the insights you've got there, it certainly would assist the team. Now, I'd like to introduce our third panelist, and it is Jake Wagner, who is an executive underwriter at Allianz Global Corporate Specialty. And Jake specializes in aviation insurance, and he's just completed his FCIP coursework. Jake, I was wondering, maybe you could give us a concrete example of how the FCIP has helped you in your work.
Yeah, for sure. For me, it really was the first course on strategy. I was able to look at our internal, external environment and then really apply those theories. For me, it was tremendously applicable to the project I was doing. When I joined, Allianz were provided with a really significant growth goal. It was one of those, I don't know how we're going to do this, but I was able to apply the theories I learned in the FCIP, along with discussions in the online course, and combine all those things up to come up with a strategy. It's been really interesting because so far I feel like the strategy has been successful, and to me that's really the coolest thing. You're applying what you learned.
Excellent. And I take it since you're still there, you met your growth goals?
Yeah, we're on track, so let's keep it going, yeah.
All right, that's great. Okay, we're going to have some more dialogue with the panelists, but we'd also like to let you, the attendees, put your questions forward so we can answer those as well. If you do have any questions for the panelists, please type them into the question box you see here on your screen. And I will give you a moment to do that. I also have a follow-up question for you, Bob, and it's this. How does it benefit P&C organizations to have FCIPs working for them?
I think that's a great question, Brad. You know, when I look at our business and the investments that we make, I think one of the best investments we make is supporting our employees in education. And if I look at the industry, and I've been in it for quite a long period of time, I really noticed how our business is becoming more complex. Problems that at one time seemed much simpler are now starting to emerge. And I think this week for many people with the malware attacks, et cetera, is showing how complex the organizations are becoming and things that you have to do that are not just in your business, but that have things to do with the industry from an overall perspective. So again, when I look at the FCIPs and the people that we have who have those designations, they have a much more thorough knowledge of our business, not just the technical part of it, not just the insurance part, but they understand the business from all aspects of it. And again, you know, going back to strategy, that's absolutely critical, because when things happen, it doesn't have to be just in our product or our core business. You need to have strategies on things that you're going to do, like this cyber attack that we all experienced this week. So one of the things with an FCIP designation, I think the schooling really helps them come up with more creative solutions to more complex problems, and that's obviously what we're facing today. And another thing that I've really noticed and value is the FCIPs, because they are really working hard on their own professional development, tend to take on more and more responsibility in an organization. And if you look at the demographic studies, we need this. Our industry is aging, and we do need people who are up and coming that have the education and capabilities to be the future leaders and to take on the responsibilities in the future.
Okay. So it would be fair to say, I mean, with those kind of comments, obviously somebody with an FCIP would be much more valuable within your company. And their profile would be very high because they're recognized by the executive?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, can I just throw a question back to you, Jake? What did you feel was the most valuable course you took in the FCIP?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was the financial management course. I do think it gives a lot of people, particularly on the insurer side, the nuts and bolts of how a company actually operates. This is really the business side of it. I think a lot of people would benefit from getting that information and knowledge. You know, even for, say, on my perspective on the underwriting side, a lot of people think, well, I wrote this at a gross, but there's a lot of factors that go into your actual combined ratio. I think actually in terms of understanding the financial side, where you can actually read a P&L, really that's first and foremost in understanding how the numbers work. For me, understanding and getting to know this knowledge, I found the financial management course to be the most beneficial.
Okay. And Kelly, I'll just throw this one over to you. What was your biggest challenge in the FCIP courses, and how did you overcome that challenge?
Well, I'll agree with Jake that the finance course was the most valuable, but I also found it the biggest challenge, as well as some time management. Like most of you, I have a lot going on outside the walls of the office. Believe it or not, my whole life doesn't revolve around insurance. And I don't have a math or finance background. The entrance test, it wasn't too tough given the math I do every day. But some of the concepts I'd last heard of when I was in high school, and I will not say how long ago that was. So I did have to spend some more time with that course, but there was excellent support for me as well. I did have to make sure I was totally on top of it so as to not fall behind, but I carefully scheduled time each week to read and complete the questions and weekly course postings. I did reach out to other people in the course who clearly had a background and a better understanding, as well as the course facilitator, and they were all fantastic in helping me through. So although that course was hard work, in the end I was successful in it.
Excellent. Now, just based on what you said there, it sounds like you had an opportunity to work with a lot of other people and talk with your peers in the industry across Canada even. Do you feel that that's the case, and do you feel that that's helped you?
Oh, absolutely. I had to reach out to people to be able to provide context in my coursework. I was talking to executives at Desjardins, to people on their banking side, as well as to peers and immediate leadership. I've had some interesting and engaging conversations with the other class participants. There's such a wide range of experiences, tenure, and the different areas that people come from. I, most of the time, just talk to claims people in my day-to-day role. So this variation and gaining of a different perspective has really helped me gain a wider understanding of the industry. You talk to people who work for brokers, underwriters, people who are independent in some way on the front lines and in higher level leadership. There are people who come from all different aspects of insurance and all over the country. It's been really fascinating to talk to them and to learn from them as well. It's definitely not an experience I would have gained otherwise in my usual role.
Great to hear. Now, you say it's different than talking to claims people all day. Would you like me to delve further into what claims people are like to talk to all day, or we can leave that one for another time? We'll probably leave that one for another time.
That is probably for the best.
Okay. Jake, I understand that during the FCIP, you actually made a move from Alberta to Ontario right in the middle of the program. Now, I've heard a lot of concern around the time commitment that the FCIP takes. So I was wondering how you handled that move and how you managed the challenges that might have presented.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was challenging. I did just recently move back from Future on from Calgary. For me, it was a career-based decision. It was a good opportunity, and really one that I felt was due to having the FCIP. But I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was difficult, particularly working on the capstone while moving cities and moving jobs. It is stressful, but overall, it's something that I was able to overcome. Mainly because of everything you learn in the FCIP, every knowledge, everything you're picking up. Essentially I found it extremely applicable to what I was doing day to day, and that was able to motivate me and push me through to completing it.
Excellent. Now, speaking of what you do day to day, I was just wondering, could you tell the audience here, we get a little insight, can you tell us what the safest plane to fly in is?
They're all safe. Come on, it's the safest form of travel.
The ones that Allianz insures, right? They're the safest?
Exactly. All the ones that I insure. Those are the best ones, yeah.
There you go. Okay, we'll have to get your signature on them.
Yeah.
Bob, if I could just throw this one back to you. I know you were involved in creating the new track FCIP program, and I was just wondering, when you think about the purpose of the program, are there any features that you'd like to specifically highlight in the new program?
Sure. When I think back in my own personal career and history in the industry, I've been in the industry for quite a period of time. And when I came into the industry, it was very, very common for a lot of people, including myself, to come into the industry with a high school education, not having an undergrad degree. And for myself, looking at my progression in my career, one of the things that I knew at an early age is I wanted to work in executive management. That was a goal. And taking the FCIP at that time gave me a lot of the undergrad type programs and courses that my peers in the industry at that time who were university educated had. But what I also noticed as time went on, fewer and fewer people were coming into the industry with high school backgrounds. More and more were coming in with university graduations. And what we started to realize with the FCIP program is there was a lot of overlap. Once you got outside of a major, a lot of the core courses were the same as courses that somebody would be taking in an undergrad program. So we started looking at the program and at that time and asking ourselves, does it still make sense in its current format to offer these courses where fewer and fewer people were taking the base courses? And was it a time now, because of the level of education of new entrants coming into our business, to really augment the program? So we did that. After consulting with a lot of people in the industry, we started looking at creating the new FCIP program. And the new FCIP program obviously has professional facilitators, which is critical, but the course books, et cetera, are now more at an MBA type level. And I think that's really, really valuable, because if somebody hasn't done an MBA, they can get a real flavor for it by going through the FCIP program. And so what we're hearing now is that the people who are taking these courses and are graduating, they're graduating at a much higher level than the history of the FCIP program. So back when I took it, we were, for lack of a better word, graduating at an undergrad level, and I would say today the graduates are more at a quasi-MBA level. So it's really, really starting to pay off, because we're really, in our industry, being able to create much greater levels of professionalism by having much more in-depth knowledge and much more focus on a lot of the business aspects of the program, as opposed to learning about some of the base courses that you would take in first and second year university.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks for that. And just building on that, I'd just like to ask you an additional question, and that is, I know it's going to be different for every company, but at Pembridge, what do you do to support employees taking the FCIP program? That's obviously benefiting the company, so I was just wondering if there's anything you do in that regard.
Yeah, I think, so Pembridge is part of the Allstate Canada group, so this would apply over all three of our companies. But first of all, we encourage it, and what we do is we basically will pay the person's tuition. If once they've enrolled and passed the course, we pay the tuition. And then we have a bonus structure based on passing courses and then attaining the designation. And in Pembridge itself, for any of our graduates, whether it's CIP or FCIP, I personally make it a point, regardless of which office they work out of, to go and take them personally out for lunch, because I think it's such a critical part of their development that I just want to see it rewarded, and I want to see it recognized. So that's some of the things that we do, really support them financially. We encourage it, and we also offer to anyone, if they need some mentoring or want some advice, we try and make those resources available.
Great. Okay, thanks, Bob. Now I see we do have a question from one of the attendees, and the question is this: is there a time limit to complete the FCIP? The answer to that is no. There is no time limit to complete it, but we do recommend making steady progress, because the courses in the order that they come actually build on each other. So taking them in that order is what we would recommend. And in doing so, as I said earlier, it would generally take about 3.5 years if you did one course after another each term, but we're finding most people take about 4 years to complete the course. So that would be, as I said, there's no time limit, but that's what we generally find to be the case. So hopefully that answered that question.
Sorry, Brad,
yes.
Maybe I just jump in there too. I think, going back to some of the comments we made earlier about the fact that you get a good peer network, going through the program, going through the program in a good rhythm also allows you to deepen those relationships with other people that you will come across that has taken the program, and you will develop stronger relationships with them when you are facing the same challenges at the same time.
That's an excellent point. Yes, thanks for adding that. Okay, there's one last question. I was just wondering, Kelly, what did you think of the FCIP's online format?
Oh, geez, I really liked it. It allowed me to balance my studies with my work and my personal life. Things are pretty busy here right now. You know, we're 2.5 years into the Desjardins takeover of State Farm / acquisition, and I'm busy outside of work. I do a lot of commuting. I also compete at the national level of horseback riding, show jumping. So I train during the week, yeah, outside of my working hours. So this online format meant that I could fit my studies around my work and the practices that I go to for my show jumping. And yeah, that flexibility is absolutely fantastic. I couldn't have attended and gone through the program if it had regularly scheduled classes, you know, like a Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Wouldn't have worked for me.
Okay. So, wow. All right, should we be looking for you at the next Olympics?
At this rate, unfortunately not, but oh, maybe one day, we'll see.
Okay. All right, well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So at this point, we are probably going to wrap up. Yeah, so if we didn't get a chance to respond to your question, please email it to us at fcip@insuranceinstitute.ca. And we will follow up to make sure that all questions are answered. So at this point, I would just like to thank our panelists for their time, and equally important, thank all of those of you who attended today. And hopefully, we will be hearing from you shortly as registration for the FCIP courses start on June 1st. So please make sure to contact us as soon as possible about the admission process. And since I don't see any further questions, I will thank you again for your time and wish you all a great day. Bye for now.